Hi, web leaders. We are so excited to have you do lesson number 3. That's coming up this month, in fact, this Thursday and Friday. Just make sure that you are wearing your web shirt on both days. That's really important. And do make sure that you are not going to your 8th grade morning advisory during those 2 days. You're going directly from your bus or from whenever you get dropped off and arrive at KP directly to your 6th grade morning advisory classroom. The whole idea is to spend as much time as possible with the 6th graders. You know how important that is to them. And so we have actually posted the lesson plans already on Google Classroom. I hope that you've reviewed those lesson plans. If you haven't, please make sure to do so. And you now also have these videos to be able to review the lesson that way. So do make sure you're reviewing all of this information, and if you have any questions, let us know. So as soon as you go to your 6th grade morning advisory, spend time with them, talk with them, do engage with them in the classroom, and make sure you're spending that time with them. You also want to make sure that you're setting up the classroom appropriately, and you'll notice that what we're asking you to do is to create a space in the middle of the classroom where either students can stand, they can sit on the floor, or they can sit in chairs. So you want to be able, if you're using chairs, you want to be able to form 2 lines parallel to each other. So do make that space before the bell rings. As soon as the bell rings, you're going to model appropriate behavior as you listen to the announcements. Once the announcements are done, you're going to go ahead and get started with this lesson, and you're going to first explain the objective. The objective is about learning how to work well with others. Now, we all know that there are times when we can't choose our teammates or our classmates. So whether we're talking about teams in the middle school level, whether we're talking about those people who are sitting on our bus, whether we're talking about the group members that we have for a particular class project, sometimes we can't choose our teams, but we still have to work well with others. And so this lesson is all about that. And as soon as you explain the objective, then I want you to get into explaining the activity. The activity is called Penny Squeeze Relay, and the students tend to have a lot of fun with it. So you're going to want to form 2 teams, and you want to be strategic about those teams. So divide the genders. Make sure that there isn't a team with all girls and all boys. Make sure to divide the gender. Make sure you maybe purposefully divide personalities. So if there's some personalities that are a little tricky, then make sure that they're divided into separate teams. So do be strategic about that. So you're going to create 2 teams, and they want to be even in number. So if you do have a web facilitator, or web co-leader, I should say, working with you, and they need to be part of a team to make the teams even, do make sure to do that. If the teams are even with simply just the students participating, then the other web leader can take score on the board and help set up the teams. So just be aware of that. So create these 2 teams, and what they're going to do is they're going to like I said, stand or sit on the floor or in chairs in these 2 lines. And they're going to actually face each other. So the lines should be parallel, and they should be facing each other. And so what will happen is there will, in fact, and you should establish a front of the line. And the front of the line, the web leader will be there. And the 2 students in the front of the line will be called lookers, and I'll explain that in a minute, why they're called that. The back of the line, the 2 students there are going to be called grabbers, and you'll want to place this grab item in between the 2 lines where it's accessible to both team members, okay? And again, I'll explain all of this in further detail in a minute. So now you've got a front and a back established. And what you're going to want to do is, as soon as everyone's ready to go, you'll want to have each team member on one team hold hands, or if they're not comfortable with that, they are going to link pinkies like this, okay? So once the teams are established, and once the front and back of the lines are established, and everyone is either holding hands or holding pinkies, you can go ahead and explain the directions a little bit further. So the web leader who's managing this whole process, who's in the front of the line, is going to have a penny. Now this penny, as well as the grab item and any other materials that you might need, are all going to be found in your supply bags that will be located in the classroom. So be aware of that. So the web leader in the front is going to have this penny, and they're going to flip the penny. Now, if the penny lands on heads, what's going to happen is the lookers, the two people in the front, are going to be looking at the penny to see where it lands. If it lands on heads, what they're going to do is they're going to send a pulse by squeezing their pinkies, or if they're holding hands, squeezing the hands gently, so that then that signal, that pulse, is sent down the line to the back of the line, where the grabbers are going to try to be the first team to grab the grab item. If you're the first team to grab the grab item, then you get a point. So that's how that works. Now, if the penny lands on tails, no pulse should be sent. Now you'll note that sometimes people get really excited, and they do in fact send a pulse even though they shouldn't have. And so if that happens, the team who grabs the item when they should not have ends up losing a point. So that's how you can handle the scoring in that instance. So you want to play a couple of rounds, and one round is the number of times that you flip the penny to finally get it to heads. So if it lands on heads the first time you flip it, well, then that's one round. If you flip it 3 times and you finally get to heads on the 3rd time, that's a round. So anytime you get to heads on the penny, that equals a round. At the end of the round, you want to keep track of the scoring, and then what you're going to do is, at the end of the round, you're going to want the lookers to go to the back to become grabbers, and then everyone else will move up. So then you have new lookers for the next round. So after you do a couple of rounds, and then you have the scoring, and you have a team that's won the activity, then you are going to want to process the activity and talk with them a little bit about the different roles that they experienced. So there are different roles that hopefully your group of students will identify. And that could be lookers, it could be grabbers, and everyone in between. And so make sure that they're identifying all of these different roles and what everyone did in these roles. Also have them talk about what does make a team successful. By looking at their team, and if they were successful, what made them successful, and have them talk about that. Make sure that there are multiple people talking as you're having this conversation. And then by the end of that conversation, the hope is that you have maybe 1 or 2 minutes left in the MA period, and that then you're going to make sure that you move the furniture back to its original place, and then the bell should ring. Make sure that you are giving high fives to everyone, saying goodbye, smiling as they leave, and you are the last to leave. Also make sure that you put all of the supplies back into the supply bag, and keep that supply bag in the 6th grade morning advisory. So hopefully this has been helpful, this video, in terms of reviewing the lesson. If you have any questions, please let one of the web facilitators know. And again, if you have any questions, you can also review the lesson plans that are on Google Classroom. All right, thanks so much.